familiar with this project, and it was because of some concerns that he had at the last meeting that we in fact agreed to have this special meeting. So he'll be joining us shortly. Commissioner Lucio, for the record, let's confirm who's present at the time.
Yes, currently we have Commissioner Washington, Commissioner Fletcher, myself, and Chairman Edwards.
Lucio Edwards. Okay. All right. Okay, so what we're going to do in the interest of time is go ahead and get the meeting started. Basically, commissioners, what I'd like to do, this is a follow-up issue regarding BZA applications for 801 Buchanan Investment Partners and for Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Washington. We started a discussion at our last general meeting with regards to this, and based on information received at that time, decided to allow some additional time for further community input. Commissioner Lucio has since that time had community meetings. The organizations that we were concerned about all had meetings. The North Michigan Park Civic Association and the Civic Association and the Michigan Park Civic Association. And so what I'd like to do tonight, in the interest of time, is we'll open the floor up and start discussions. I'll let Commissioner Lucio sort of tell us a little background information regarding the project and where we are. And then she'll be followed by Carmen Williams from North Michigan Park. Just talk a little bit about, you know, what happened at their last meeting. I don't want to know what the decisions were at this point. What I'd like to do is just hear from Commissioner Lucio, the North Michigan Park and Michigan Park Civic Associations about where they are in terms of, you know, kind of what happened at your meeting. If there were any items of interest that you think we need to focus on as we have these discussions with the developer. Let's put those things on the table now so that as the developer is making their presentation, then they'll be able to address those issues if they weren't appropriately addressed at your meetings. And then after that, we'll have each of the organizations, Michigan Park, North Michigan Park, after the developer finishes, we'll have them come on and then tell us what each of their organizations recommend. And then Commissioner Lucio will give us whatever motion or direction that she is recommending the commission take. And then from that point, we'll open the floor up for some discussions. And if necessary, throughout the meeting, we'll have discussions. But that's kind of the way that I see the flow of the meeting going. Anyone have any objections to that?
None. Thank you, Chairman Edwards.
All right. So with that being said, the Commissioner Lucio, you have the floor.
Thank you. I do want to just make a note that President Williams is not on the call right now. I did just send her a text to ask her if she was joining, but just to make a note of that.
Okay, let me just say I received the text from her. She was saying that she is on by phone, but she couldn't get in on the Zoom link. The link wouldn't open or something. So maybe you can see if you can assist her with that.
I'm not quite sure I can, but as long as she's on the phone, that's fine. Okay, so let me thank you very much, Chairman Edwards. I will give a brief information about where we are. So in regard to the Kennedy School development and the 801 Buchanan Street development, the developers of those projects met with both the North Michigan Park Civic Association on Wednesday, October 5th, where there were 40 residents in attendance at the meeting. They then met with the Michigan Park Citizens Association on Tuesday, October 11th, where there were 7 residents in attendance. At both meetings, the developers shared the proposed project and answered questions from the community. And while I would have liked to have had more of the community be in attendance, I do believe that we have provided ample opportunity for the community to participate. In addition to those 2 meetings I just listed, I held the following meetings to discuss this development. On May 5th, there was a single member district meeting where 55 residents were in attendance. May 19th, there was a special meeting for a single member district where 25 residents were in attendance. On September 8th, there was a single member district meeting where 20 residents were in attendance. On September 22nd, there was also a special meeting where there were 26 residents in attendance. All of the residents within 200 feet, and the 200 feet was determined by the Board of Planning, Office of Planning, were provided a paper meeting notice of the meeting on 9/22 and the meeting on 9/8. In addition, residents within 200 feet of those on surrounding streets were provided paper meeting notices. So it wasn't just those within the 200 feet. There were other residents within the surrounding blocks. In addition, all of the residents of my single member district were notified through the email list that we have for the single member district and the MailChimp for the ANC 5A. So I appreciate you taking the time to discuss this tonight. And I do believe that I am ready to move forward on this. So I guess now we will turn it back over to you and have Ms. Williams and Mr. Bucksnell talk. I don't know who you want to go first.
Okay. Carmen, are you on?
Yep, she's on. Let me I can't unmute her. She has to unmute herself.
Okay. If
Yes,
she's still having some technical difficulties, we'll go on to Mr. Boswell, and then you said Boswell, right?
Bucksnell.
Okay. And then we'll come back to her. So why don't we do that?
Okay. Ralph. You're muted, Ralph. There you go.
Okay, thank you. I thought the meeting was very well done, and I thought they made an excellent presentation. And I checked with a couple of our neighbors, one of whom lives on the above the development, and her only disappointment was that the housing development wasn't going to be sooner than later. But the only concern I have with the project is, in talking with her, you know, she's retired and she's about 76. And I asked her, what did she think of it? And she was very much in favor of it and saying, when was it going to happen? And I told her, and I also expressed that that they indicated that they were aware that probably raise the values of the houses, the surrounding houses. And so she asked how much were they allotting for it? And I said, well, $25,000. And she said, probably won't be enough for helping especially the seniors. But I suspect for other neighbors too, it might be a little bit of a burden. But other than that, I thought it was very well done, and don't have any objections at all. I think they did a great job of it. And certainly I had looked at the houses over at in Fort Lincoln, and which are the prototype of the houses that they're going to put on the site. And they are the best Rhine homes I've ever seen. The layout, the spaciousness, the quality of the work. And they said that that's going to be the same thing that they're going to put over there. And certainly the school presentation was impressive.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Buxton. This is a good report. Carmen, were you able to get in?
She, I believe, is still having trouble.
All right, we will save her then for later on.
Emily, could you have her FaceTime with you, and then you could put her up?
I can't. I don't have FaceTime.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we'll give her time to work with the technical issues, and then we will move on to the developer now to sort of, you know, having attended our last meeting, attended the North Michigan Park Civic Association meeting, and now the Michigan Park Civic Association meeting, hearing the concerns that have been raised at those meetings. Where are we from your standpoint as far as the project is concerned? Just give us an update, try to cover those things, and then we'll be off and running.
Good evening, Ms. Edwards, Nyla Batiste, the law firm of Holland and Knight, representing both the Concordia Group and Catholic Charities. You know, in terms of the project design itself, I think it was well received by the all three. When I say all three, I mean Commissioner Lucio, single member district meeting, as well as the Michigan Park Citizens Association and the North Michigan Park Civic Association. I think the changes that were made to the plan, particularly as it relates to the publicly accessible green space, were well received. I think there was concern about making sure the streets and the green space are accessible, given that this is a townhome community. But as I mentioned, there will be documents in the land records that that will ensure that these roads and the green space remain open to the public. I know that there's been concern about the price of the homes. I will tell you that at this point in time, we don't really know where the market will be. But more importantly, I think it's important, as the ANC in particular gives comments on the application, that we respect the legal standard of review for approving this application. One of the things that I think I reiterated and it was understood by the people that we presented to, is that this is a parcel that's already zoned for multifamily development. And so the proposal that's being presented by the Concordia Group and Catholic Charities is far more favorable than what could be developed on this site without going through a public hearing process. The only reason we're going through this process is the regulations require it for townhomes, but we can build an apartment building with 300 units on this site without going through this process. And so I think when balancing all of those things, the project was received as favorably, I think, as we could expect, that should expect. We did agree at the North Michigan Park Civic Association to support their scholarship fund in the amount of $5,000. And that was asked, Ms. Williams asked that of us at the meeting, and we agreed to that. So I have nothing further. There was really no discussion or concerns related to the school. I think it's been a long-time stakeholder in the neighborhood. And so there were no objections or concerns related to the school site, especially once we assured them that the operation and the size of the school would remain as it's been on the site since the late 1950s. I don't know, Will, if you want to add anything.
No, Lila, I think the only thing I'd like to add is just how much I appreciate, I think we collectively appreciate the fact that we got the opportunity to meet with the folks at North Michigan Park and Michigan Park. And I think the one thing that I heard fairly clearly was how important it was that this new community be integrated into Michigan Park. And that certainly we plan to be good neighbors and hopefully good partners with the community. And I just want to thank everyone for taking the time because I know everybody's busy, but we do greatly look forward to working on this project together with the residents. But just thank you so much for your time. I don't have anything else really to comment on.
All right, thank you for that. I guess Carmen is still having some difficulties sort of getting in, but she did text me a text basically sort of indicating, I guess, from the meeting the areas that she thought were most talked about. And they involved parking, traffic, and also, I guess, in terms of design, and it looks like you all have talked about design a little bit. There seemed to have been some concern that this project was not the design. Maybe there was some imbalance in design. Maybe you all are not sort of trying to replicate in some kind of way the styles of the houses that exist. Could you kind of help me out a little bit on that?
Yes, so it was actually President Williams, I believe, brought up the concept that the homes across from this project on Buchanan Street are triplexes. And one of her comments was that she would like to see triplexes on the front row of the homes that front on Buchanan. And what we took her, certainly took her input. One of the concerns that we had was, so by making triplexes, yet keeping the configuration on the second row of homes, you would be, from an urban planning standpoint, on the streetscape, you would look through, when you only had 3 houses together, you would look through and see the rear elevations of the homes on the second row. So we really were struggling with that, but that was the design. I don't think there was any issue at all on the architectural nature of the homes. It was more, she wanted to see triplexes, so a stick of no greater than 3. And what we tried to explain was, just from an urban planning, it wasn't like we could just do 1 row of 3 and then on the stick behind it, have full rows of 4 and 5. And it just, let's just put it this way, it's just from an urban planning standpoint, we probably would agree to disagree. How would that, would that be a good way to put it?
And I will say that, well, it is something that you studied, you looked at, but it was not going to be aesthetically a better project.
Yeah. We were really concerned, and so was Office of Planning, that aesthetically it was not the vision that you'd want to see from Buchanan Street, the homes looking across.
Okay, so thank you. 1 minute, please. Commissioner Lucio, Carmen is asking if we could unmute 202-441-2076.
She is unmuted. That's the background noise you hear.
Carmen?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But Ms. Williams, there's background noise behind you that we can also hear.
Okay, hold on.
All right, and for the record, I'd like to also note that Commissioner Holloway is joining the meeting.
You turned my phone off. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Is
you.
that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and thank you, Ronnie, for relaying the information. Yes, those were some of the concerns. Again, Emily's had her meetings. She had her single member district meeting, and we had asked that she bring this information to the community. Her single member district sits within 2 communities. The single member district does not represent the community. It only represents her single member district. And I was glad that I had a number of participants, a number of residents who showed up for the meeting. In Michigan Park, again, when I looked yesterday in their meeting, there were only 12 people in their meeting. And of those 12 people, there were only 4 residents. The rest of them were the president and myself, and then the folks from the development team. So I'm not sure that a full representation of their community has been notified about what's getting ready to take place. I know that this is going to be a significant change, because one of the other things that was brought up was with Providence and what's going to happen with Providence. Traffic is going to be an issue. The parking is going to be an issue. Overall, the community does not have an issue with the project, but we'd like to be in on the process as this goes forward, not just that single member district, because it affects more than that single member district. It affects two communities. And the community should have some say-so in reference to what's going to happen.
All right, so I think what we have done here is sort of try to make very clear that when issues are being discussed in the community, that to the extent the civic associations and community organizations are involved and engaged, their input is vital to the process. So we've made that kind of clear. We had this last week or so to sort of have those meetings. I understand that everybody who you thought or others may have thought should have been there, weren't there. But after we go through the process, we put out the notifications and we have the different meetings. I think we have to put all of that behind us, which is where we are today, sort of putting that behind us and just looking forward today as to sort of hearing from you in terms of the meeting that you guys had. Was there any concerns? And you've shared those with us, about it came out at your meeting. And so is there anything else that you would like to add in terms of that? We're going to hear, I think we are now hearing from the developer. We've heard from the developer with an update, I think somewhat. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about your meeting?
No. Again, the community is in support of what's going to happen. We just like to have some say-so with some of the things that are going to transpire, like the streets opening up. That would have been something that would have been top on the agenda as far as just closing off that community. That would be a key priority based on some of what's happened in some of the other communities here.
Okay, and so, the developer, and let me just say to the developers and just sort of ask the question. I think because they are here working with the community and don't seem to have any problems with working with the community. Now that they have your contact information, they can feel free to sort of reach out to you, I'm thinking, and to provide you with any updates and things like that with regard to how the project is going at the same time as they do the ANC and to Commissioner Lucio. Would you all have any problem with that kind of a relationship, I think, going forward, working with the civic associations?
Not, Chairman, not at all. And quite frankly, Catholic Charities will be staying on the property throughout the development. I think that's really important to note that they are not leaving the property. And I will provide my personal information, and I welcome any calls at any time, and have stated that we will reach out to both the single member district and staying in touch with Commissioner Lucio, but as well as North Michigan and the Michigan Park Civic Association, and provide notices before any development activity goes forward. So we encourage the communication, and I will say this in regards to President Williams and particularly Commissioner Lucio. We appreciate how engaged they are, and they've been really good in providing us input throughout the process. We hope we were good listeners, but I would say the level of engagement for this community is about as high as anything I've ever encountered. And I would say that, we look forward to working with them.
All right. Chairman Williams, I just have one question for you, just in follow-up to the question with regard to the design. Now, I've heard their response, I think, in terms of the problems with your or the North Michigan Parks proposal regarding the triplexes and all of that. After hearing that explanation, I mean, what is your response?
I think the plan that we've put before you.
Excuse me. I was talking to Chairman Carmen Williams.
Oh, I apologize.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, what I was looking for, and I'm sorry, I didn't hear all of the response to it, because I was trying to get connected. What I was looking for was something that would look similar to how North Michigan, the houses in North Michigan Park look, where you have the semi-detached or the tri-attached homes, that the houses on Buchanan Street kind of mirror what they look like on the other side of the street. That's what we got with EYA for the houses on Allison Street, so that those houses mirror what's already in the community. So that's what I was looking for.
Okay, and did you heard or you did not hear their response, I think, in terms of answering your objection? Did you hear what their response was?
No, I did not hear their response because I was trying to get connected. I'm sorry.
All right, so I wanted them to take just a few minutes more to sort of explain, I think their understanding, which involved triplexes. I'm not sure I hear you saying that in what you're saying, but let them explain, if you all would, one more time, your response as to what you thought her concerns were.
Yes, so we heard President Williams looking to basically ask if we would look at the potential for triplexes, which would be, we determined triplexes is basically rows of townhomes that would be three homes in one row. And we looked at that, and President Williams said, well, I would just like to see it on the first row of houses that face directly over to the existing homes on Buchanan. And in speaking with both Office Planning as well as our urban planners, the one concern is that when you do that, unfortunately, you provide pretty big gaps in between, and that you, from a visual standpoint, from the streetscape, those folks that are on Buchanan now, those existing homes, when they look across, rather than seeing front elevations, which are brick, I think very attractive brick row homes, which is what we'll be building, they would unfortunately see at certain gaps the rear of other homes on the second row. And that, from an urban planning standpoint, we want to avoid that at all costs. We don't want, from a streetscape, from anyone driving down Buchanan or the folks across the street looking at the rears of the proposed townhomes. So that's our response.
Okay.
Chairman,
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. Is that good for you, Chairman
Yeah.
Williams? Yes. Okay. All right. Commissioners, are there any commissioners that have any questions? I note again for the record that Commissioner Holloway is present, and so we do have a quorum.
Yeah, and Chairman Edwards, there are 3 raised hands, and one of them is Commissioner Washington.
Okay, Commissioner Washington, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would say this question I have is for not only the developer, but it's also for Carmen Williams, who is the president, and I was on their meeting last week. I know that they said they were going to give you guys, donate $5,000 toward your scholarship fund as part of, I guess, the benefit to the Civic Association. Now, my question is why you guys didn't ask for more? And the reason being is because I have a development in my community that's going on, that they're going to be building 72 apartment building with 82 units. And it's a nonprofit that's doing it. And they're donating $25,000 to our Civic Association for beautification, scholarships, and the community. So I was a little concerned about the number being so low, since this is a huge development. That's my first concern. And then secondly, the only other question I have is about the number of IZ units that are going to be provided with this development. I wanted to know whether they're just meeting the minimum requirement, or are they going above and doing more as EYA did? So those are my 2 concerns.
So, well, I'll start with the last point first. I was in the middle of, I will respond. I'm almost done with the response regarding the traffic impact for the townhomes, but I wanted to address the commissioner's comment. So unlike the EYA project, this is not PUD, right? So I think it's important to make that distinction.
It's not a what? What did you say?
PUD.
Oh, okay,
It's
I didn't
not
hear
a
that. Okay.
planned unit development.
Okay.
So the legal standard of review and what's required as part of the approval process is very different. That being said, and I think MJ has raised this before, the sale of the property directly relates to the funds that are required to support, not in total, but in part, the construction of the new school. So the way, and I explained this to Commissioner Lucio earlier, the Catholic Charities gets proceeds from the sale of each market rate lot. That's part of the approved plan, and any reduction in that law, any reduction in the amount of market rate units is a significant financial impact to Catholic Charities. And so, so yes, they're providing the 9 units, but there is a direct correlation between the amount of market rate units and the monies that are generated to build the new school site. And in response to the, I don't know, the project that gave more money to the scholarship fund, we were asked a certain amount and we agreed to it. Again, this is not a PUD, so I don't know the context for the other contribution or donation, but so I'll leave it at that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Carmen, do you want to follow up on that question? Okay, go ahead.
I can't. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I only asked for the 5,000 because we weren't in the beginning of this process. 5,000 would go toward the scholarship for North Michigan Park. And again, the development is not in North Michigan Park, it's in Michigan Park. And I was thinking that Michigan Park would come back and ask for some additional things as part of their community benefit. I know one of the things in the community benefit, and they were saying there's the tax break for some of the residents. It's not for all of the residents, and I'm assuming it's for those that are only within the 200 foot of the project. That tax benefit that they were speaking of, we getting the dog park and the park for the kids. But I was thinking that Michigan Park was going to come back and ask for additional funds. Because again, the project doesn't sit in North Michigan Park.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that response. Then we're going to move on then to Mr. Wheatley. Mr. Wheatley, you have the floor.
Thank you and good evening. Seeing that I missed the last ANC meeting last month, I assume that the project that was presented at yesterday's meeting, and for me it was a very short notice, that the rest of the community was able to get some of the details of the thing, because I mean this is a lot of stuff to digest, at least for me, in the short period. I had less than 24 hours notice about this meeting, and to the point that we had a ANC 5A03 meeting with this project. My understanding now is that there's been a significant revision since that I did attend that meeting, and because of those revisions, even though on the surface it looks like it's a viable plan, but again, there's so many aspects to any kind of development that needs time for consideration of impact and other concerns that I think I'm now just 24 hours away from the meeting we had yesterday, and as I said, I didn't get adequate notice, and I think there needs to be some attention in terms of how this process is unfolding. So I missed the ANC meeting where I guess this presentation was given. So the question there is, were the plans that were presented yesterday, were they presented at the meeting, at the ANC meeting that I missed? And if even so, were those plans shared with the rest of the community? Because I mean, how can we give proper weight and consideration to any aspect of this if we don't have more detailed information than some on-screen presentation? I've been asking for either videos of the meetings, but at the very least, we should be able to get PDF files or any of the presentations upon request. I know it's something that may not be automatic, but for anybody who would want more detail, as I do, should get that.
Chairman
Yes.
Edwards, can I respond? Let me, if I can respond to that.
I'm still, excuse me, I'm not finished talking. I just would say, you know, I know it's the ANC commissioners that have sort of the final weight, but if it's going to impact where we live, I think the very least we should have more information detailed upon request.
Chairman Edwards, if I
thank
can
you.
respond
No,
to
hold
those
up.
comments.
Hold up. Thank you, Mr. Wheatley. And as always, you know, I do appreciate your input and your concern. We were sort of at this point a week or so ago when we had our regular meeting and said, hey, we're going to slow the train down just a little bit so that we can allow a little bit more time for opportunity. But in all of our meetings, we've seen that there has been, you know, numerous meetings throughout the community. And that's one of the good things I think about DC processes is that you have different meetings, different people show up at different meetings. Everybody can't show up at every meeting. Sometimes you'll miss those meetings and you may not know what's going on, but the train have to keep on rolling. And we are at a point here on this project where we slowed the train down. We've sort of taken care of what we could in the matter of time that we have with regard to the schedule from BZA. And so we're at a point now where we've had those discussions, we've had input, we've allowed opportunity, and tonight is the meeting for us, the ANC, to sort of move forward with this application. Mr. Oliver, you have the floor.
Chairman Edwards, can I respond to something real quick about that? Real quick?
As long as it's a response positive on the note and keep us moving.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I just want to share that in response to one of the comments that Mr. Wheatley made, the plans that were shared at the ANC 5A meeting last week are the same plans that were shared at the North Michigan Park meeting and at the Michigan Park meeting, and they are also the same plans that were shared at the last single member district meeting we had. So those are all have been shared. In addition, the only other thing I want to point out is that every single meeting notice was sent out in a timely manner a week in advance. And Mr. Wheatley is welcome to email me directly to request copies of the development plans and also the recordings of the meetings. But I will say that prior meeting notices and information and supplemental documents from people who present are also available on the website. If there's something that's missing from the website, please let me know and I'll be happy to add it. But for the most part, I've been pretty timely about getting them on the website.
Thank you for that.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Oliver. Mr. Oliver, you have the floor.
Yes, I'm here. Just wanted to state that for the record, that the new townhouses will affect traffic in the area. There's no issue about that. Where I have an issue though is that there are two communities, Emerson Park and the Fort Totten Mews, that share a private road. And the issue here is there has been some discussion of whether that private road will be considered in the traffic mitigation project. And I want to say that because it's a private road, I don't think you can touch it. The city obviously can't touch it because it's private, and you guys can't touch it because that's not part of your property. So if that issue comes up, which I hope that it doesn't, there's nothing you can do, I would think, legally about that private road. So that's just my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Mr.
Oliver.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Batiste.
I'll let Mr. Bowser go.
Mr. Bowser, you trying to speak?
First of all, I support what my President St. Thomas Williams, and I also support Cleveland and Mr. Wheeler. I want to give you some history of that lot. When they built Carolina, they wanted to put it on the exit on to Buchanan Street. And Buchanan Street has a much traffic now. So they agreed to turn that property around. I was told when this meeting first started that if I was not in the single member district, I could not come to the meeting. So I said this part is illegal and all that. Now I keep hearing about some for the kids and green space and all that. Has all of us elected to raise agree to this project because we got three different places where you got playground, kids, plus the recreation. Now, now why is all this done? It seems like to me it's so different for certain group of people. I mean, private roads, we don't have no private roads in the city. Everybody can come to the road. Everybody, stop it, stop it, project. And I do think that you agree to $2,000 a year. You know, I do that's not nearly enough. But you should do it for 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. Probably, we don't have our hands back. We want what is required by law.
All right. Um, and commissioners, if any of you all could hear a little better than me, I heard some of what he was saying, and one of the things I thought I heard was in reference to the $5,000 versus 2,000 or something like that. I can't remember. But anybody here or Mr. Bowser, could somebody repeat kind of anything that you thought we need to consider in terms of what he said? I would appreciate it, commissioners, any of you.
This is Carmen. I did understand one thing that Mr. Bowser indicated, and that's in reference to the street. When they initially built Carroll Manor, the entrance for Carroll Manor was on the back side of the parking lot for Providence, that the residents didn't want the front side on Buchanan Street. And if they're talking about making a road that comes all the way through, is that going to affect the entrance for Carroll Manor? Will they be able to enter Carroll Manor from Buchanan Street if they make a road through there?
Any response from the project?
Yeah, I don't believe that we're going to be affecting Carroll Manor at all. The two streets that are shown on the plan were required by DOT. And the last thing I just wanted to say, Chair Edwards, in response to Mr. Wheatley's comments, is that the plan, while it's changed to add green space on the southern border of the site, the configuration and the number of units have remained the same. Like that hasn't changed. The general configuration of the lots hasn't changed. And so there's nothing here that, like that when we presented, I guess the meeting he was at 2 meetings ago, there's nothing there that would have substantially, would be considered a substantial revision to the plan in terms of impacts.
Okay. It looked like we have had discussion, seeing hands raised. Commissioner Lucy, Mr. Bowser.
I do one more. I consider this meeting illegal because it was publicly said that if you didn't live in Colorado Springs, you couldn't attend the meeting. This is for the whole community. ANC 5A. I live a block and a half from the bookstore, and I would be denied to come in.
Okay, so I think what I'm hearing Mr. Bowser say is maybe about some meeting that was planned. Commissioner Lucio, were only residents from your SMD were able to attend or something like that? Is that what happened?
Yeah,
No, the meeting notice was sent out to my SMD. It was also sent out through MailChimp to the ANC, and there were a couple of occasions where I did notify Commissioner Fletcher to notify his residents as well.
you were told in a public meeting that nobody that the meeting was only for ANC 5A03. Now ain't no need to change the issue now. Now prove that you sent that out.
Okay, well, Commissioner Lucio, he's raising, I guess, some questions about notice and all of that. You have provided for the commission, information here, written, summarized information, I think, in terms of notice that was provided. Mr. Bowser, we understand your concerns, and we have attempted to address those concerns. I think, again, like I said, that's the reason we're having this special meeting today, in order to provide a little bit more time. And Commissioner Lucio has committed to the ANC and to the commission, that, in the future, in terms of notices, she'll continue and she'll try to do better, I think, in terms of how she notifies the community and get the community involved in activities. We've sort of heard the community on this project. We've taken the time to give the community a little bit of the more time with regard to this project. And now we are moving forward, according to the BZA schedule, because we have to sort of make a decision on this in order to be timely for the Board of Zoning. So I appreciate your concern. We have addressed those concerns, we think, to the very best that we can. And so now, Commissioner.
Chairman Edwards, can I say one thing real quick? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just to verify, I did just pull up on MailChimp that the notice was sent out to the entire community for the ANC for single member district 5A03 special meeting for the Kennedy School on September 21st. And at every North Michigan Park Civic Association meeting, President Williams asks me to give an update of things in my community. And during each of those meetings, I did share when we would be having an updated meeting about the Kennedy School, and invited anybody who was interested in attending to reach out to me to get information about how to attend.
Well, I am a block and a half from Kennedy Institute, and I was told I could back up to the 5A03 meeting, and I think it's illegal to go forward with this problem.
Okay. Commissioner Washington, you have the floor.
Yeah, I was just going to say that maybe in the future, a roll call should be taken at meetings as to, how many individuals are 200 footers, how many are just from the community, just to, to have some balance so that everybody knows, the number in attendance. I think that's just a recommendation change, so.
That was done, Commissioner Edwards.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, that was done.
Okay, this is Carmen. One of the suggestions, well, it's not a suggestion, it's something that we have always done. And it can be done better. All of the ANC commissioners who sit within North Michigan Park, or who have responsibility of the residents within North Michigan Park, have a spot on the agenda every single month. It's their time to give us an update on what's happening in their SMD, not to say you need to come to my SMD meeting to hear the full details. If you want to know what's going on, that's the opportunity to bring it to the whole of the community, not just the single member district. Because your single member district rolls into just North Michigan Park, but into Michigan Park and those that are in North Michigan Park, Lamont Riggs, and now we're going into Queens Chapel. So it's important what the commissioners have to bring to the meeting that they bring to the community. Not
But
just,
Commissioner Edwards,
yes.
is that mandatory though, for a commissioner to have to attend a meeting,
Well, what
a
I'm
community
not,
meeting?
yeah, what I'm not going to do at this point is talk about processes and things that the commission need to develop going forward. I think in terms of improving, their services. If we want to do that, we're going to have to put that on the agenda at the October meeting so that we can talk about it. It's not something that we were tasked to talk with tonight. Tonight, we have been tasked with dealing with these this BZA applications. We've done our due diligence, I think, in terms of what we can do with regard to these two applications. We hear some issues with regard to communications and so forth that need to be improved. I'm certainly committed to working with the community to make whatever improvements. I hear Commissioner Lucio saying that she is committed to doing that same thing. And I think all the commissioners are committed to making sure that in every decision that we make, that we provide ample opportunity for the community to be involved. And so on that note, what I'd like to do now is turn the floor back over to Commissioner Lucio for a recommendation. I guess we're here tonight and we have to make a decision. And so what is the recommendation from 5805?
5803.
5803.
My apologies. So thank you, Chairman Edwards. So I would like to recommend that ANC 5A vote to support the Kennedy School development and the 801 Buchanan Street development, which are BZA number 20749 for the Catholic Charities of Archdiocese of Washington and BZA case 20751 for 801 Buchanan Street.
Now, is there any distinction in these applications where maybe we should vote on them individually, or did we receive these from BZA as a joint package, or they've been received individually?
They were sent individually on the same email.
Individually on the same email. Okay. All right. So there has been a motion on the floor that we support the BZA applications 20749 Catholic Charities and 20751 801 Buchanan Investments. Was there a second? Is there a second? Say again? Did I hear something?
Now, move the motion.
We haven't voted yet. I haven't. I have a motion on the floor, and I was looking for a second. And for lack of a second, if no one is going to second the motion, then the motion would fail. So is there, okay. Commissioner Lucio, would you repeat your motion again?
Sure.
No, one time, so that you try to do what you want. The commission didn't second today. I ready to second.
Okay, what did you say, Mr. Bowser?
I said you already had a motion on the floor. You call for a second, and nobody second, why you gotta repeat the motion?
Yeah.
No,
I thought I heard someone else chiming in who was
It's- Chairman, so this is Vice Chair Gordon Fletcher. Based upon what you said, Chairman, that we've done everything, and you believe this to be true as well, that we provided notice. We have made sure that the developers and all the stakeholders provide information regarding this project, this potential development to all the individuals within the community and the organizations. Now, there are things that could have been done differently or better, but based upon what you said, Chairman,
And based upon the fact that all those stakeholders are here, I will second this motion. Based upon what you said, Chairman, I will second this motion. And only for that reason.
All right. So there has been a motion on the floor. The motion has been properly moved and seconded that ANC 5A support the BZA case applications for BZA 20751, 801 Buchanan, and 20749 for Catholic Charities. Are you ready for the question? All those.
Can we have discussion before the
Yes,
question?
yes.
Or we have to do it?
Yes, go ahead. Discussions.
Yeah, I have a discussion. I mean, I'm just a little bit concerned for me about this project because it is a large project for me. I hear the representative saying that, you know, proceeds and so forth coming from the project is going back into the other project, which is, I guess, the school. But we're talking about something that's going to be built 2 or 3 years from now. Can't say how much they're going to go for because they don't want to say that. They said it before that they're probably started 600 to 700. But as I stated, you know, depending on what the AMI is at that time, they could be $900,000. And I mean, it's not my single member district, it's not my civic association or communities, but I just think for me, if I have a project that is giving $25,000 to a civic association that is a nonprofit that's building a unit of 82 units that's going to be for moderate income individuals, and they are willing to give to the community so that the community for beautification and things of that nature and scholarships. For me, I just think that the developer should be willing to do more. Either, you know, as Ms. Williams said, she only asked for that amount because it doesn't sit in her 503, doesn't sit in that in her SMG, but it's all about the community for me, the entire community. Mm-hmm. And so regardless of where it is, it's impacting that entire community there, 5803, 04, 02, or whatever. Or 708, and that's where my reservations come in with this project. That the developer is not willing, and from what I'm hearing, to offer more. That's all.
Well, I didn't hear that. What I did hear though, and I'm going to give the developer perhaps, and even Michigan Park Civic Association an opportunity to respond. I heard Carmen Williams from North Michigan Park say exactly what you said, $5,000, and she thought that there was room for other organizations and so forth in the community. I didn't hear North Michigan Park speak up to ask for anything. The response that I heard from the developer was, hey, you know, that's what they asked for. You know, they're not just out here, you know, waving money, and the community, you know, needs to, you know, to the extent that we believe that there are investment opportunities or, you know, grant opportunities or whatever that the developer can do, then we should put them on the table. But then, you know, but so that's where I am. Michigan Park, do you have anything that you want to say with in those regards?
Sure. First off, when EYA did its project, everyone surrounding all the 200 footers were totally against EYA's project. And the Michigan Park Citizens Association was offered benefit, and we voted not to take it because we thought it appeared to be a bribe. And the citizens were totally against it. The only person that ended up continuing to protest the development, and we had some problems with the structures that they were doing, not the structures, the road, are concerned about the road, and the neighbors were totally against the development. And then EYA offered each one of them $30,000 or some amount of money like that. And Lorenzo was the only one that continued to sue EYA for the development and delayed it. Now, with this development, what we have here is we have, when first off, I don't know who's eligible to vote. That's why I didn't second the motion. But the thing is this development is to create a school for handicapped children from the city at our community. And the money is dependent on the money that's gotten from the sale of the property for the development of the housing that they're going to build. And to me, that's a benefit enough of the giving that to us, to the city and to us. And that's why I think it's important that they have as much money as they can to provide a good school for the kids. And that school has been there for years, and it's very important. And the design of the development and the layout are very good. And I invited a number of people, a couple of people called, said they couldn't make it. One of our architects' father is dying, so he had to go to Pennsylvania to take care of his father. He called up and said, and by the way, there were 6 people, not 4 people from Michigan Park that showed up, but some of the other people didn't show. But, when you are doing with a school and EYA claims that their development is not going to impact the amount of traffic, but of course it will have some impact, as will this development. But they have at least parking that's going to be available for their teachers and for the parents to the few parents who will be dropping off their kids. This is not a total development, it's just for profit. And so I don't see any need, and nobody raised that issue. And I think they've got a good development, and they have been responsive to our questions. And like I said, after my experience with EYA and the veracity which a number of members of our community attacked St. Joseph Seminary and the development, and then caved when offered money, and we couldn't even get some of these things that we requested. These people are giving us what we need, especially the dog park, because a number of people have been asking for it. And also they're giving a soccer field, which was discussed towards the end of the meeting, because one of the couples that came there has a young son, and we only have one soccer field currently at Turkey Thicket. And this provides another field for our kids in the neighborhood. And I mean, my concern is not about this development. My concern is about Providence Hospital's development and its impact, because they have
Mr. Buxton.
over 2,000 employees. Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's all right.
Thank you for.
I got you enough. All right.
Yes, thank you for your response. It was very helpful. And it helps us, I think, as commissioners, to sort of make sure that as we are looking at these projects, that we look at the totality of the situation. And so I want to just go back, because we do have a motion that's on the floor. I want to go back to Commissioner Washington. And Commissioner Washington, so hearing everything that's been said, now you heard North Michigan Park, you heard Michigan Park, you said you feel it. So where do you stand now with regard to that? Do you have anything else in specific that you'd like to propose, or are you okay?
I would like the commissioner, or as commissioners, to propose additional $5,000 to North Michigan Park, because they give a lot of scholarships, regardless of whether they're in that single member district. Residents use that facility, and children who are awarded scholarships, I don't know if they just have to come out of the North Michigan Park area, or if they're out of 5A as a whole.
So Chairman, Chairman, this is Will Collins. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is Will Collins at the Concordia Group. And clearly, I appreciate what Commissioner Washington is saying. And I want to make sure we understand that the money from this sale goes to Catholic Charities to help build them. But in no way we feel like we've been vested in this community at Fort Lincoln I've been there for 22 years. I hope we're viewed as good citizens. I want to I have a couple of things that I've been thinking while we're on this call that I hope would satisfy the concerns. One, we're happy to increase the scholarship to $10,000. We support scholarships every year, and we're happy to increase it to 10. One of the thoughts I had on this, because clearly we can't, on the affordable housing front, we don't want to take a unit away, market rate unit, because it's significant amount of reduction in price to Catholic charities. But I think what we've done in the past, and hopefully you deem this as our support for the 5A community, is I'd like to donate $25,000 towards the district housing production trust fund. And what they do there, if I make the donation as the developer and specify that I'd like to use it in Ward 5, I will ask that it's used within this community. But I think that money goes a long way, hopefully, to helping someone into a home. And I hope that our commitment to be good neighbors. And at any point in time that Michigan Park comes to us with a project, I want you to know that we're here and we fully want to be good neighbors. And at any time you need assistance, please come and ask. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman Edwards, can I add something real quick?
Yeah, hold on 1 minute. I want to get Commissioner Fletcher, who was trying to get in earlier, and I want to get to him, and then I'll come back to you, Commissioner Lucio. Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Edwards. And again, I always try to act with transparency. I had another meeting. I was trying to make sure that I was listening in and attentive to this meeting as well. Special meetings kind of throw our schedules off sometimes, but I've been even more attentive within the last 20, 30 minutes. And I just want to say for the record too, both William and Layla and that entire team, they have been nothing but good stakeholders in the community, right? Everything we've asked of them to do, they have done, right? And so let's make sure that we don't forget that by holding them accountable to what we need here in the community at the same time. So just for the record, I think that's why I seconded this motion, because I believe that no matter what, we can all get to the same place that we want. Everybody can win here. And most importantly, the community can win. Those who need the services in that school can win as well. So just for the record, I want to make sure that that's clear, that, we do have developers in our city that don't do what they're doing tonight. So just for the record, let's put that out there. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Fletcher. Commissioner Lucio, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Edwards. I just wanted to revisit something we had talked about at the last meeting, and I know was touched on briefly this evening, but I want to make sure that everyone's aware of some of the various community benefits that we have talked about at numerous times with this developer. One of them is obviously the RPP parking. So the residents within the area all are going to be eligible for RPP parking that we'll put in place. Obviously, the green space was the biggest community benefit. And then, Will, can you touch briefly on the process you're going to do with the seismic monitoring? Because I think that is important for people to be aware. And then a couple of the other things that we've talked about in terms of community benefits.
I really do hate to do that, but it's like almost 8, it's after 8 o'clock. And we've been at this probably a little bit over an hour. I don't want to, I understand, we've heard from the civic associations and the community, from the commissioners, the work and the relationship of the developers, I think, with regard to the community. As you've indicated, this information that you are about to have them talk about now is part of what's already been presented as a part of the overall package. I think we've beaten this horse enough. And I would like to move. We have a motion on the floor, and I would like to move to voting on that motion. All right. Any further on?
It's been seconded too. It's been seconded too, Mr. Chairman. So
yes.
Yes.
Yes. So is there any further unreadiness? All those in favor of the motion, that is to recommend approval of BZA application 20749 and 20751. And all of this is contingent upon the discussions that we've had, the additional amenities that have been added and so forth. So
Yes. What, Mr. Chairman, just to make sure we are following Robert's Rule of Order as best as possible, I did hear Mr. Collins state that he was going to increase community benefits, and I think that has to be accepted by the maker of the motion.
Okay, the maker of the motion has a motion on the floor that I think the motion is that we approve those the recommendation, and in following the motion there was a discussion, and in that discussion the applicant agreed to increase the benefit. That will be a part of the final record in terms of the decision and the commission's consideration with regard to the vote, but it does not amend the motion.
Okay, I want to make sure we're all on the same page with that. So,
all right,
okay,
yeah,
that will be no problem.
That will be in the final decision, you know, based on after discussions, the developer agreed to increase the scholarship amount to $10,000 and to make a $25,000 contribution to the district housing fund for use in Ward 5.
Okay.
All right. So all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, let the record reflect that the vote was unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our business tonight. Is there any closeout comments or anything from anybody? Commissioner Lucio?
I would just say thank you to everybody, and I would just share that that as with other developments, I'm happy to continue to share updates as this project moves forward. The BZA notice for this project is public, so anybody who wishes to attend that meeting can. And if anybody has any questions about this development as it moves forward, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to discuss them by phone or email, and share whatever information I have and answer any questions I can.
All right. Anything further? Commissioner Holloway, I want to thank you for joining us as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.